Simon Davis with It's a Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches.
Back again. Welcome to A Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches. And I've done it again. Even the experts been in this game for a long time, and every time we try and cut a corner, take some go or walk away from our processes, shit seems to happen and go sideways. And it is a lesson for you guys. If there's one thing I do know, you go away from your processes and your procedures, and shit happens. And I did this. I'm doing a job for a friend of mine who's a bit ill, so I've just jumped in to help him out, and I put it in on top of or in place of a few of my other jobs, and I sort of rushed it through, and it has sort of bitten me in the bum. I didn't do my dial before you digs. I did ask for them to be done, and it just didn't happen. And then, everything sort of just snowballed. We got to the job, and it wasn't done. And this is what's happened, and it's unfortunately not a good look. But have a look at this. Hit a major water pipe, dug 50 holes. This is the last hole. And that's what happens on that type of thing. And sometimes you just can't get away with going through these things. Now, it could have been a lot worse. There are a few things that I have learned over my time, and I do know how to fix pipes, and I've hit enough of them on my time. Luckily, this was a council main, and I called the council. They were there pretty quick. I dug it out for them, and they come and fixed it for me relatively quickly. The issue I did see when I walked around the job, I had a look at the power, I had a look at the Telstra where the boxes were, I had a look at the storm waters, sewer. Everything sort of conglomerated around that one corner. That was our last hole we had to dig. And what I didn't notice, and I did notice this when I did the dial before you digs after the fact, was that there were two lines running in conjunction with each other, side by side, up to the neighbouring property, and with a T-junction in to feed the both factories. And it was a 40 mil copper line, and I clipped the neighbour's side. So, as I said, after the fact, dial before you dig. If I had done it, I would have picked it up that there was two in conjunction, and we would have vacuum sucked that hole or dug it by hand or something like that. And again, this is just what happens when you're rushing through trying to do things, and you go away from your process and your procedures, as I said, and I didn't pick it up. So, going on that, I just wanted to elaborate on a few other things that have happened over my time. And one of them was when I was on the highway, we hit a major Telstra cable, and had a it was probably about 150 mil wide, the pipe with all the fibres running through, major network. And it ended up costing me about $3,500 to get that fixed. Now, I was pretty filthy about that, and the reason I was filthy was because we did our dial before you digs. The company I was working for had their processes in. They had to do it as well. The company they were working for, the big tier 1 companies, they had their processes in. When it came, we actually even got it located on the ground with a locator, and when it come down to it, it wasn't in the right spot. My company hit the main, and because I was the last man standing on the ground, mate, they basically ripped into me, and that was my problem. So I was a bit filthy about that, because that's the duty of care was followed all the way through. We weren't within the meter zone or 900 zone or whatever it was. I can't remember. Might have been 1500. We weren't in that zone to where it was marked out. and we still had to cop it. So there's a couple of things that dial before you dig does for you. And now I'm sure New Zealand, America, you would probably have your own processes, but it saves you for the little bit of time that it takes. Relatively quickly, if you fill them out, you can fill them out on your phone and do them the night before or whatever. If you've got multiple jobs going, probably somebody in your office is best to do this, so you can print them out, get them, you can locate them, have them all there. With the digital era, I recommend getting an iPad, so they're a little bit easier to read because they're pretty difficult to pick up the exact locations on your phone, and especially if you're not used to them. I've never been trained in how to read those plans, so you've sort of got to wing it yourself, work out what's what and where it is. It's not that difficult once you get a handle on it, get your head around it, but it does a couple of things. It saves the client, saves the assets that are underground that you can't see, saves you time and money. I lost half a day yesterday with that little episode trying to fix it. It saves the tenants and possibly could save your life if I've heard of different stories, and there's a quick story I want to tell you again on another job. One of my blokes, we used to do toolbox at 6:30 every morning and run through all the dial before you digs, all the permits. We actually used to have to get a permit to dig when we were moving into a new area, which was all located up, and we had everything fine. Now, we were just putting a temporary flagging up, so star pickets and flags for a no-go zone. And my fellas ran the flags over and the star pickets over, pushed them in, 300 deep, 400 deep, whatever they were, over a line. Under the line, and they're going under power lines and everything else, but under this line was a high voltage box, 240 volt box that was buried about 1,500 deep in the ground. Now, when I didn't realise that, the blokes had just gone out to do the job. When the safety officer come and ripped me a new backside, kicked me in the backside, was the first time that I knew something was wrong. So I was completely unaware what had happened. But yes, this did happen, and look, there was no chance of penetrating that live voltage. But the fact was, my blokes hadn't been trained, which was on me, and they could have put a picket into a 240 volt because they didn't know. They just didn't know. They went straight over the top of it. So there's a lot of things there that could happen. Safety is very, very important, especially on these big jobs. And you don't think about it when you're doing backyard jobs so much. But as soon as you get into industrial area, commercial area, roads, mines, gas lines, there's so much that can go wrong so quickly. And we've all heard the horror stories. So it is very, very important, guys, that you do stick to your processes and your procedures, because every time you move away from it, something will happen. And it could save your life, could save somebody else's life, could save you a ton of money. I was relatively lucky, as I said, on this one. I've got it fixed up now. I have hit so many different things in 30 years of fencing, and big machines, excavators, even dingoes, little mini diggers. They're not forgiving when they find cables and things like that, or punching through storm water or gas lines or optic fibre, and you can cut things out so quickly that it spins your head. And when it does happen, it's a little bit too late after the fact to go whoops, and and you've cut, especially if you've cut Telstra off, and it happens, as I said. But over the years, I've managed to do a lot of Telstra damage and fix it. I've hit gas lines, I've hit water pipe, I've hit storm water, I've hit sewerage. And another story was I was doing a school fence out in the middle of Western New South Wales, little remote town. Their shire was probably 45 minutes away, was their main depot, and I hit the main sewer line, which was a poly pipe through this school, and it ended up bursting one of the mains and started flooding the little remote town. Now, by the time the Shire Council got to where we had to find out how to stop it, and then had to dig it out and clean it and everything else, they had to come over an hour's drive, and then they had no idea, because it was so old. They had no idea where the stopcocks were, so they're running around turning stopcocks off on people's houses and things. So yeah, it's not a good look when you're a contractor and you're going in and something major like that happens. Like, the job is hard enough. So for all you new blokes starting up, make sure you get on top of it. And it's a free, for us in Australia, the dial before you dig is now just called Before You Dig. It is a free service. It gives you everything. Sometimes, for me, it's too much. Like when I rang yesterday for the area that I was in, I got eight emails, I think, and I had about 16 pages of documentation to have a look at, and all I wanted to do was have a look at one page, which was the council water mains, see where they were. So it gets a little bit top heavy sometimes, but it's all about ass covering. You cover yourself, cover your clients. One thing I did learn at a recent brief conference we had in November last year at the Australian fencing industry was that I used to put it on my clients to do the dial before you digs. So they had the paperwork for me and I could just look at it. That is not good enough if you're the principal contractor going in to do the job. You must do it yourself. It is not up to the client to tell you where it is, and that does not save you in a court of law, okay, if it goes down that track. So that's all I wanted to do, a little quick one today about that. I'm sorry, I have been promising to get a few of the big guns from America on. I'm just having a little bit of issues with my own timing and recordings at the moment, but that is going to happen. I'm going to get these blokes on. There's a new trend coming with the no dig fencing, and for us in Australia, it's good. I like it because we thump posts all day in a variety of jobs that we already do, so I don't see why we can't take it over to the next level, but which will save a lot of ground penetration and that with big mechanical machines and that as well. So that's also something that we can look at and talk about another time. But yeah, follow me on the Fence Posts Facebook group, Fence Posts. Reach out to me there. Also, the Profitable Fencer is my business page on Facebook. You want to have a chat, reach out. I do have a few things going there in relation to business coaching, business mentoring for fencers. So as I said, I've been doing this for a long time and I've made that many mistakes. And again, even as a seasoned fencer, I took a shortcut and it bit me in the bum. So it still happens to the best of us. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you again on the next one. Stay tuned.
Thanks again for listening to the Fencer's Life podcast. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, or the free Facebook group, The Fence Posts. And of course, Simon's personal Facebook, facebook.com/Simon M. Davis 1. And also check out Spotify to get weekly episodes. If you believe Simon can help you make a difference in your fencing business, please reach out to him on Messenger or visit his coaching mentoring site at theprofitablefencer.com. Until then, stay safe and happy fencing. Thanks again for listening to the Fencer's Life Podcast. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, or the free Facebook group, The Fence Posts. And of course, Simon's personal Facebook, facebook.com/Simon M. Davis 1. And also check out Spotify to get weekly episodes. If you believe Simon can help you make a difference in your fencing business, please reach out to him on Messenger or visit his coaching mentoring site at theprofitablefencer.com. Until then, stay safe and happy fencing.